Hello, we are here with a woman that I super admire. She has been doing things in the automotive business for a very long time, and she has also an incredible international experience. So, Mónica, can you tell us more about your incredible career in HR?
First of all, Victoria, I really appreciate the fact to be here with you. I'm honored. And as you just mentioned, I have been my whole career, more than 24 years in the automotive world, a world that used to be more male-dominated. And I had the opportunity and the fortune to join GM as an intern. And then it really took me a short time to understand and choose GM as my workplace of choice. And the reason is because we have, GM and myself, we have this cultural fit. The company has high values. For me, it was important to be in a company that provided me opportunities to grow. And I am always energized by challenges. That's my passion. You know, when things are steady, I always try to shake them a little bit to see what we can do differently. So, I've been assigned to different projects, not only in Mexico. I started my career in the Toluca plant in Mexico State in Mexico. And there in the same area, we have an engineering center and an after sales business. And the reason why I refer this is because I didn't need to move in the beginning of my career from city, because I had the opportunity to be in these three parts of the business, which was the design, the build, and the after sales. And this complemented a lot my profile. And also, since I joined, I continue my education. And this has been probably a good coaching that someone gave me to never stop learning. And since then, I started building in different disciplines. Yes, of course, I went to the comp and benefits and, all the technicality of HR, but also I looked into the business from a marketing perspective, and that started to give me a different way of looking at things. So lucky to be in a company that has been embracing diversity and that has been giving me the opportunity to move when I was ready for my next position. I became, at a really early stage of my career, a leader. And from there, lateral moves, taking projects, raising my hand has been the way I work. And I'm really passionate about what I do. And today I'm here in Middle East, also in a disruptive, accelerated environment that is always looking for how to do things differently. From the culture to the number of nationalities, to the language, to everything. So it has been really an amazing experience for me. So, that's what I can tell you about my journey.
Oh, it's an amazing journey. And you've been in many different places, as you say. You've been in Mexico, in different places in Mexico, and then Korea, and now you're right now in Dubai. Can you tell us more about your experience?
Yes.
In the HR, also looking at the HR from those different perspectives and cultures?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, it was a lateral move within the same company, but still the business behaves differently, right? It's not the same, the needs that our people have when it comes to a manufacturing, maybe a launch, maybe a new plant, closing another one. We have the component there of having a union. So there it's more of supporting them on certain skills, right? And it's more on coordinating all the logistics, right? Because there it's more like the cafeteria, the transportation, security, etc. So there I had the opportunity, in the case of manufacturing, to support the massive hiring to build a truck plant, and then to build up, in my second time back to manufacturing, to build up an aluminum foundry plant, which was replacing the iron foundry at that moment. So the challenge there was more to upskill our employees that were in a more manual process, so that they were ready in order to onboard the new technology So that's, let's say, that part of the business. Then if you move to the after sales world, also personalities are different, and you already know this, right? The marketing people, the sales people, they are less structured, right? So you need to help them to find their path with a different strategy. And there's where my marketing, background and trying to sell ideas worked. Because yes, we do have many global initiatives, but GM believes on making it your own, right? So it's not just taking from the shelf and that's it, right? Certain peculiarities will come with depending on the country you are. So on the sales and marketing arena, it's more on, teaching them by doing, more ludic approach, more having fun. They are more into the deadline might not be the deadline, and it's just because it's how they work, right? And you need to be flexible, remind them in a different way, because they have. If I compare them to manufacturing and engineering, less structure, still they have, of course, right? Because otherwise we will not be achieving our goals. But the way they talk, their language, it's also a different world. And in the engineering side, the purely engineering side, you have highly technical people, right? Highly technical people that typically they are individual contributors. And these individual contributors are more focused on getting ready on what's the new trend, right? The new coding, the new system, so there is more to bring something from the other sides of the business, right? The talkative of the marketers and the salespeople, and so it's a nice mix. And also GM has the flexibility of, the same as I did, to go between businesses. So that makes us a better, well-rounded professional. And even Toluca will be different than Mexico City, etc. And we try to, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. We try to talk a lot with what's happening in the rest of the world. So even being in Korea or now being in Middle East, it's pretty common. I'm a believer of network. If you have good network, you can learn, share, ask, and complement your vision. So I'm a curious person. I ask a lot of questions, and it's the way my brain, starts putting information and starts connecting the dots. So I mean, my peers and my network know that I will ping them and I will have a list of questions, right? Because it's the way that I show interest, and it's the way that also we can exchange practices and learn from each other. So you can put them in your hard drive here, and then when you need them, you just pull them out.
That is amazing. They say that curiosity is a skill that we need to have today and in the future, no more than any other skill, to be curious.
Correct.
And, sharing what you're saying and hearing that you love challenges, has there been like a very challenging HR situation you've encountered at GM? And did you apply something like agile mindsets or even AI?
Oh my God! I mean, the list is there because, as I told you before, I feel energized by challenges. So innovation is also part of my the way I also understand things, and I challenge my team. So talking about agile, I think agile for me, it's a way of doing work. For me, agile, I was in contact with agile methodologies since early stages, not only in the university, but also joining manufacturing, right? So for me, probably in the first year, I was already having 5 or 6 tools that before they were not called agile, right? They were just tools to solve problems, tools to go granular on something that was not working, etc. So it was embedded in my mind. This plus me asking questions on looking at things and getting them in brackets or pockets. So that it will be easier, and it helped me, especially when I became a leader, to say, okay, let's divide it. Let's start from the beginning, because sometimes a problem to solve can be overwhelming. And as a leader, you need to help the team to say, okay, let's put it in brackets. Let's try to sort the portion that is more urgent. And definitely all the tools that I've been learning in GM have helped me, right? Because then you find the root cause, for example, or you map a process, or you identify a different route, build mental maps, etc. So if I think about also linking these to now AI and probably data management, because AI, I think right now in HR is coming, but it's coming more on the selection process, on assessing if a project is on time. It's more on the performance and on the recruiting portion. But data management also has been a great tool for us. And probably one challenge that I would like to talk about among many other projects that I've been is talking about a passion of mine that is really close to my heart, that is equity, diversity, and inclusion. In order to start mapping and looking into how many people of determination or people with disabilities, female talent, etc., we used to just map like the end of result, right? Or we had an objective of saying, out of 3 candidates, at least 1 should be a female. But those were just portions of the process. So using Agile plus data analytics plus the artificial intelligence in our recruiting processes, now we're able to map from the pipeline how many females you have, for example. And from there, you can go more granular on, is there any of our locations that is more, is showing more percentage, for example, of female, and try to understand the demographics. Because also in the automotive world, we need engineers. Of course, we need people for sales, people for finance, etc. But a big portion are going to be engineers, right? And in the beginning of my career, it was just, if you went to the schools, the pipeline of females studying was really small, right? And from there, the ones that graduated, and then the ones that decided to work, and then the ones that chose automotive industry, right? So using these tools in order to identify where the pipeline was, help us to make better decisions. And also then looking within the process to see where they fall behind or simply didn't make it to the next stage. So we started saying, okay, maybe it's because of the interview process. Maybe there's some commonalities with this area, so we need probably to work more with the leadership. Maybe it's just because they need to, I don't know, they are 2 or 3 shifts in the case of manufacturing, or they need to relocate, etc. So the more you understand, in this case, your pipeline, you can be more precise on what efforts you need to put in place. And at some point, we started going even to partnering, going to schools to demystify STEM careers, right, and disciplines. So from high school, partnering on building cars, coding, and I mean GM partners with a couple of great efforts globally to mentor students that are not even in the university, that they are still deciding what they want to do, so that they start feeling passionate or consider GM as a top-of-mind employer. So those kind of things, probably it will take us less time to say, you know what, we need to start earlier. So for example, during summer, we bring we invite our employees to bring, if they know someone that is in high school, for example, or about to graduate, so that they spend a day with us. We put some challenges, and the recruiting team does like an amazing job on engaging them in improving and demonstrating their skills. So they consider us, right? And definitely the results are there, right? Today, the number of females, it's reaching more than 30% in the case of many countries. And depending on the nature of the job, we have more or less, but it's easy for us. And this is replicable not only for gender, right? Here, for example, in Middle East, it's more a matter of nationals, right? People from the UAE, or it becomes more related to different nationalities. In Mexico, probably will be more like from where they are, or many, because we map different things, different pillars, as we call them, when it comes to the umbrella of diversity. But in the end, we all track it. And it's just not because there's a number that we need to achieve, right? It's because we truly believe that this diversity brings to the table different perspectives. So we partner with the leaders and universities and government in order to make this happen, so that we can have this diverse talent onboarded.
Marvelous. Do you see a place of, many women are saying, well, I don't see a place in an automotive business. What can you tell, those little girls that are thinking about maybe joining GM in the future?
Oh my God. I would love to introduce them to talented females that we have, and also talented men that are our main allies, because we don't do this on our own, right? We all have an army backing us up, and someone is trusting us, right? And it's trusting us not only because of our gender, it's trusting us because of our talent. So it's just a matter of getting rid of unconscious biases, which probably I will need to explain it in a different way to a kid, but getting rid of those conceptions, right? So that they can be whatever they want. I have a story, if I may to tell you, that we did years ago. We went to elementary school, one school from one of our employees, where she had kids there. And we did an interesting dynamic, and we recorded it. And we asked the kids, I think they were from third, fourth grade, probably, draw an engineer. And they just draw a pilot, draw a mechanic, for example. And we realized that suddenly, they were typically, putting clothes more of a man. And then we have 3 amazing ladies coming in our cars, which was really impactful vehicles, and they just went and say, well, I am the pilot. And then the other one was like, I'm the mechanic, I am the engineer. So, and to hear a little girl saying, they are movies. We were like, that paid it off. It was worth. So maybe doing this more, and talking in a more inclusive language will be the best way, so that really there's no, it's more what's their passion rather than what they could do or could not do.
Oh, so beautiful. And I completely agree with you that diversity is the best way to get innovation, to get diverse minds in all senses, as you say, not only gender, but where they're coming from, or where they studied or didn't study, because now we see that even people that didn't study have incredible ideas that we need to hear. And I want to ask you, how do you foster that culture of innovation within GM?
Well, actually, it's one of our behaviors, and I feel passionate about it. Probably when I introduce myself to a new team, and actually in my job description or whatever, I always talk about innovation. I think the first thing to do is to give the team a safe space and promote collaboration. This is because it won't flourish, right? If you have a good idea, but the first thing you hear from a leader or from a peer is a no, probably you will try a couple of times, but then you will lose interest. And then your ideas will be only your ideas, and we don't want that. So to embrace an idea, maybe helping them to evolve it, and probably say, maybe it's not that ready, go and think about it, talk with this person, etc., and bring it back. it's a way to promote it. Now, I tend to recognize if it works, if it was even implemented, and if not, right? Because it requires, to be brave to say I have an idea and maybe it was not so good. So in order to foster this safe environment, and there are also some other spaces that we have where you can go, you can brainstorm, right? And I'm a believer that when I hear someone saying, oh, we tried this before, but it didn't work, they know I'm not going to buy it, because the momentum is important when it comes to innovation. So maybe the idea was really good, but it was not the right timing. So I always tell them, if you have an idea, looks good, but it's not the right moment, don't put it in the recycle bin. Go and put it in a drawer. So you, the next time, find something similar or hear that someone is dealing with it, or you feel that it's the right moment, you take it out, you shake it, you probably just upgrade it a little bit because you will have more information, and then you can go and implement. So training definitely is also in these agile methodologies, it's important, because also innovation is not that it needs a lot of structure, but it gets easier, right? Then it becomes, with practice, it becomes easy to do this. Okay, so here's the problem, here are the potential solutions, let me prototype, let me go and sell it, the stakeholders, all the steps, then they will become naturally. And you will be faster even on, we have this campaign just right now going, which is leading with simplicity. And it means it doesn't matter, it's just getting rid of a format, making something digital, making something more efficient, or coming with a great idea on innovation. The idea is that we make our life more simple or simpler, so that we can have more time to focus on the strategy, on listening our employees, on the next project, and definitely, as it's one of our behaviors, it's important to highlight when things go right, but also when things go wrong, so that we can learn from that. So I'm probably one of the top fans of this.
Well, I love that. I always start my keynotes by saying, let's make things simple. And I agree completely with you. Now we need to make processes more agile, but also relationships more agile, things in our life more agile, more simple. Why make it difficult when you can make it easy?
Correct.
And I love that you challenge people to think in that way. How many processes can you do in a more agile way? How many things can you develop in a more agile way? How can we, break silos and work together to make things faster, better, easier, cheaper?
Correct. And you know what? In order to do that, you need time. So you need to cut out distractions. You need to save some time to think, right? Think in a strategy, think about an idea, think about a cheaper, a simpler way, as you were saying, to do things. And the only way to do it is to really become indestructible, so that you block your time and people respect it, and then you have you start listing problems, you can go and ask for feedback, which also it's quite important, right? To see also, maybe for me it's okay, the process, but not for my client. So going and asking becomes also critical.
Yes, and what you said right now is so important as well, because I do believe that innovation has to do with also taking care of the different stakeholders, because sometimes we believe a very good idea can work for everyone. And no, this is not one size fits all. And more so now, even in the automotive business. Do you see that happening?
Yes, definitely. Especially, we have 4 generations right now in the workplace. And probably more generations even as potential customers, right? The decision makers are multiple now, right? It's not only one person in the family, it's the information they receive, it's the reputation of the company, it's what an employee of that company is saying about it, right? What I post. So I mean, expectations have changed, and the speed on reacting to to any behavior it's amazing and scary sometimes, right? So you need to listen to your customer. It's not the same the stage of life that boomer is having right now rather than the new joiner, right? So even the engagement that they might have could be different depending on the generation, plus the gender, plus if they are leaders, etc. I describe every person like if we were putting, these Lego pieces, right? You bring with you your background, your culture, what is your degree, your gender, etc. And the same happens with our customers and our potential employees and our employees, because it's important not only to focus on the current employees. And I always ask my team when we're doing changes, for example, in policies, is it replicable? Is it fair? And is it legal? Then go and do it. Because also we cannot just design something for one person and assume that it's a solution that is unique, right? Policies now are made so that it's not only a leader's decision, right? It's an employee way to have a latitude on how to behave within the workplace, even choosing if they want different benefits because of their stage of in life, right? Maybe a single person is not the same as someone that is probably already having adult kids. So definitely prospecting, what are their needs and being in constant contact with trends, the market, what others are doing, not because you're going to cut and paste. It's just because that opens your perspective. And that way you can design things. For example, I remember that we were talking, and this is an example in Mexico, we were talking about paternity leave and maternity leave and expanding it and, trying to be more competitive and also listening to our employees. And suddenly it was more of, we have also a big population that is single. And also we have the LGBT community, for example, right? And then we have probably people that now are single, but they are in a different stage of their life. So instead of having, again, the paternity-maternity thing, which was the initial purpose, the proposal that we came up with was, let's call it caring. And caring means whatever is important for you. And this really created a big impact because the single, right, the community members plus, started feeling that, okay, so my priorities matter. So it's not only, the having a child or being a caregiver, because also we have people that might not have kids, but they are caregivers. That's right. From, parents or spouse or whoever. And it was important to create products, we can call them that way, that were beyond, having these stereotypes. And I think that really made the difference. In the case of Middle East, for example, also I was able to change names and concepts in some of our policies. Surprisingly, and maybe surprisingly, because if you're not that familiar or your audience is not that familiar with the Middle East, we have 30% of females, but also, the mix is there. We have 37 nationalities, etc., in our headquarters office. And also just to change how the policies are implemented, because 95% of our employees are from different countries. They are not nationals. So from one day to another, they might need to fly back home, right? So how to make it a little bit more flexible so that they can, for example, work from their home country for a couple of weeks and a couple of times during the year. So these kind of policies, for example, were new to the region. Employees loved it because it was a chance to, for some of them, buying a ticket to go there, right? Might mean or 2 flights, time zone difference. It was like, I wish I could stay longer. So this kind of flexibility is helping us to find balance. And it's related to wellness, it's related to being flexible, it's related to using the technology that we have available. So as you can see, innovation also, right? And making it simple will come again and again to the story.
Absolutely. I really love what you're doing. It's amazing. And, you know, I know what some people are thinking, and basically business owners saying, well, this costs money. This, you know, to have people go home, to have people have caring leave, which is fantastic, a great concept. But this costs money. Do you believe that having happy employees lead to exponential growth?
Definitely, because an engaged employee is going to be more productive. An engaged employee is going to innovate. Is going to take time to look at things from a different perspective. Is going to go in the street, and if they see one of our cars, right? I don't know, or even a competitor car, and they believe that that's something missing, or they see something in our cars, they will come and tell you, because their belonging, right, which is linked to this engagement and happiness and wellness, definitely will make your stock option go up, right, and will make them more productive. Especially because the way you feel about your company is the way you will behave as an ambassador, right? And you can identify opportunities wherever you go. So definitely, it's happiness leads to results, and not only achieving the results, but probably exceeding those.
Sometimes difficult not to convince business owners, or to convince that we need that investment in order to get an even better return on investment and return on people. Do you have seen that there are other keys for exponential growth in the automotive industry, more so now in an AI world?
Yes, I think we need to look ahead, and look ahead is not as easy as it used to be, because of this exponentiality on how technology, new brands, new competitors, I mean, the world is changing. And before, I remember our plans used to be more long-term, right? And now it's not just from point A to point B, and then you landed into point B. That used to be change management, right? You land to point B, you can go through, the stones, you can go flying, you can just go straight, you can go in circles, but you will arrive to point B, and I'm in point B, and I did it. Now it's different, right? Sometimes you just leave point A, sometimes you don't know where is point B. Some other times, as you're approaching point B, they say, hey, guess what? Now you're going to point B1, or guess what? We had a better idea. So to have skills beyond the technical, let's assume the technical portion, right? Because it's also important. I mean, it's needed, and it's assumed that it's there. To have skills on dealing with ambiguity, to be resilient, to look ahead, to learn fast, to challenge the status quo, among some others, are as critical as those technical skills, right? Now, how it should work is based on clarity in your objectives, and the objectives need to be linked to which competencies you need to have in order to be successful in that objective, right? Of course, it can be a learning opportunity or a stretch assignment for you, but as leaders and as a company, we need to provide employees with the tools. So I think that providing these tools, it's becoming more challenging, and we need to focus more, because it's not only giving you a 2-hour training, and that's it, right? Because even this project can start in the point A and suddenly change gears, and you need to provide them the tools so that they are adaptable. So having clear metrics, having clear competencies, and also a constant process of feedback, because before, the same as we used to plan for long term, it was just like 2 performance evaluation per year, then 3, then, well, right now we're doing more than 5. And it's supposed to be a constant process because projects also can have a start and a beginning and then another project and then another project, right? So it's not, let's wait until the mid of the year. So I think that we need to evolve faster on how we have our workforce and ourselves with this upskilling appetite, right? And provide them the tools, the right tools, so that they can learn, right? It can be through shadowing, through mentoring, it can be formal training, right? I mean, the technologies coming, etc. And eventually, also a challenging thing is we will need to make a call, right? We need to have some time so that we upskill ourselves. But eventually we need also to realize if we need to go out to the market and maybe buy, right, or attract the talent, so that, because sometimes, I mean, we need to be humble and say, you know what, I don't have it in-house, and this is moving too fast. So the way also we're bringing the talent is GM is moving from automotive company, but also it's moving towards a tech company, and we're attracting a lot of talent from other industries that is helping us also to be faster and to have this mindset more of a tech company. So I think that is one. The other one is trust. Trust, I think, has been in the conversation for a while, especially after the pandemic, being remote, then coming back, and so the employees feel it is like, oh, you don't trust me, you need to see me. That's old-fashioned. But the face-to-face collaboration definitely is bringing additional things to the workplace and to the individuals. So we're starting to bring people back so that we can have less emails, right? And probably more face-to-face, more, let's just draw something, right, in a piece of paper or in a board. So trust, it's the name of the game. And because we like to be left alone to decide how to do our work. Right? And this is not only from the new generations. I think we are all asking for that. So micromanagement is gone. It's more of a matter of trust. So, and finding the talent in different parts of the world and having them working in the other side of the world also requires trust. So I believe that the upskilling, the person in the right seat, right, making the call when it's not needed and addressing it's needed, and performance needs to be addressed. And of course, this involves a lot of things, right? New job descriptions, new language, new skills, etc.
Oh, definitely. I think the whole ecosystems in jobs are changing in that sense.
Yes.
And when we talk about AI, we talk about AI-enabled company, how to become an AI-enabled company, which I'm interested to see that you're talking about becoming a tech company. It's not only now we're building cars, but we're doing it in a way that we are up with technology.
Yes. And I mean, we have really nice products inside our vehicles, because our vehicles is not only the exterior, right? Not because only this is a natural evolution of our product, but because it's the future, right? We're ambitious and inspired because we would like to have, for example, zero collisions. And in order to achieve that, it will be nice. And of course, we have now softwares in place that are learning, right? So having sensors, and it's not only reacting, it's also learning, which are your traditional routes, right? How the cities map, where something has happened. Or on the other side, we have our we call it Blue Button, which is our OnStar technology, which has a call center where you can ask for help, or if you have an accident, they will call you and ask if you're okay, and they will diagnose your vehicle from far, so that they can tell you, you know what, something is missing, so we don't have any collision or emissions, etc. And also, I mean, lose your keys and you can also open your car. It's snowing and you can turn it on. I mean, and I'm just talking about the most common things just to understand our product, but it's way deeper than that. We're talking about connectivity, and we're talking about life simplification. We want to connect people to what matters. And for that, autonomous vehicles, electrical vehicles, and of course, our current and future portfolio is working towards that technology. So it's not only the technology you see in the outside and that you feel when you sit in this comfy seat, it's also what the vehicle, I mean, your cocoon, right? Because you want a safe space, can do for you if you are in traffic or in an accident or you're just simply going to a party.
Definitely. Do you see self-driving cars in the future for GM?
Yeah, actually we have, we're running some pilots. We're partnering with Cruise. It's the name of the company. And actually I was able to try the technology. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I think it's to read about it. Another is to see a video. I mean, the first video I saw with our CEO, Mary Barra, and our vice president, taking a ride, because you request it as you will ask any other transportation option. So you ask, they tell you how far they are, you choose where you want to go, and the car arrives. And then you get into the car and it's like, right? So to feel it, to be inside that, I gotta tell you, it amazed me. It amazed me because how the software maps, I mean, if cars are lined up in the street or 3 persons, let's say, are standing, will show you exactly how they are. Like it's I mean, honestly, it's amazing what our colleagues and engineers are doing, and definitely that's coming. Also, GM Cruise, it's called another software where, for example, if you're going into a highway, typically that it's constant speed, you can activate that between the cruise control and this, and you can make it easier for you, the journey. Still, you need to be alert because it's not an autonomous vehicle, right? At some point they will be, but yes, actually we are proud to have that and many other products related to energy and making it's not only a car, right? It's connecting people.
Wow, I love that. It's a complete experience. It's not only, to go from point A to point B, but it's the complete GM experience. Yes. Now you're super positive, and what you're doing is super positive. But I want to ask you, are there things that happen in the company that you say, and in any organization, or not only GM, but that you say, I am amazed that we're still, having this negative routines, meaning, for example, meetings, or meaning, things that we do over and over again, and they're not really productive. Which ones would you say that are the ones you say, hey, I wish this didn't happen anymore?
Yes. I mean, and that's why we have the Living with Simplicity, because we want to make things simpler. We know that in many things just sometimes, for example, having a conversation in emails, right? Or seeing people that probably don't even need to be there, or going to a meeting that, you can add value, but really probably 2 people from your team are there. So why 3 people from the same function? But sometimes, if you go back on time, they made sense, right? They made sense because probably the previous leader requested them to CC them, so they continue with that. Or maybe 3 people were in the same meeting because it was faster to just go out and go to the action rather than me going to the meeting and then telling the other person, and then the other person, right? So there's always something behind that it's important to ask ourselves what and why. The moment you explain to your team members why something is important and why something needs to stop, I think it makes sense. Otherwise, You might feel, oh, now I'm left out because I'm not invited anymore to that meeting, for example. Instead of saying, thanks God, you're not, right? I'm not invited to the meeting, I can be more productive, or, right? So, or picking up the phone and saying, you know what, instead of this ping pong of emails, maybe you can just call a person, sort it out, and that's it. But there's also change management that you need to do, right? Because there are stories behind that lead to this, to where we are. For example, now we are moving here in Middle East to no PowerPoints. And of course, it sounds like, oh, how come, but how am I going to prepare a presentation? So now what we do is you have either a one-page executive summary. You can have as much backup as you would like, but don't invest time making pretty a chart, right? Just have the Excel and have the data in case they ask. Or having a memo. And we train our people on being good storytellers. And if you are a good storyteller, you don't need the slides. You can just get the attention of the audience. You can have a clear objective. Also, typically, we send them before the meeting, 48 hours minimum before the meeting. And it's your responsibility, if you are attending the meeting, to take a look. Some do, I mean, we're still in the process of learning. And even the conversations become more rich. Because otherwise, it's like next, right? The next slide, right? And you lose, I mean, you get distracted. So I think sometimes we abuse on, Teams and chats and the WhatsApp and right? So many tools. So to put everything in the same place and look for different ways of communicating, I think it will be nice. Right? So that it's better.
Oh, definitely. I've heard this. People saying, well, I wish there weren't so many meetings, because I go from meeting to meeting to meeting and I don't have time to work. Does that happen in your organization as well? That there are too many meetings?
Yes, and probably it's because also we are a global organization. So some meetings you can avoid them, right? And you can go face to face and maybe just have a good agenda, good purpose, send it out, and it can work. But also, we interact with different time zones, different regions, and unfortunately also setting up time in your calendar sometimes is the only way to be onboarded on how a project is, right? Or me having my team also in Egypt, right? So sometimes, yes, I spend time on meetings, but what we have been trying also, and I mean, this doesn't mean that we're there, right? It's just that I'm a believer that you need to try and change and try and fail fast and go back and try again. We say, you know what, at least one day per week, and it's Mondays for us, to plan the week. No meetings until noon. So at least we have some peace, right? You can concentrate, you can do something that requires your attention, etc. And we're making people more comfortable on saying no, on saying, I cannot make it. I have 3 meetings at the same time, right? So we keep sending the meeting etiquette, the meeting you can say no thing. Still it happens because also it's a good way to collaborate meetings. So I believe that the problem is not the number of meetings. I think the problem is that when meetings are not productive, that then you feel drained, and by the end of this meeting, routine or one after another one, then suddenly you're like, now I need to start working, right? So if meetings are really productive, I honestly don't mind if they are too many, because you're achieving something, right? You're deciding. But those meetings that you just arrive without agenda, without a clear purpose, and they are more like a workshop, no decisions are made, probably that still exists. But as leaders, we're trying to suddenly show up into a meeting that our team members are having and say, okay, so explain me quickly, elevator pitch. What's the purpose? What are you trying to sell? Is this a decision, an information? Can this be an email? Is everybody in the room needed for what you're doing here? And sometimes they're like, well, maybe no, or they are, yes, we're on track, perfect, go again. So a lot of meetings also lead to make faster decision. And there's also where technology can help us, having the right systems. For example, we used to have our HR meetings and it was like, having formats here, formats there, the SharePoint. Now we have a system where if you tell me the name of an employee as HR, I can access a talent card, which is the history, if they are mobile, what are their next steps, if they have potential, if they are promotable, etc. And we can even make decisions faster on promoting people, on moving them, etc. That for me is the difference of, as I was saying, just having a meeting and making a meeting with purpose.
Fantastic. Talking about purpose, I want to ask you, is there like a moment or a project or something you have done in your incredible career that you go back and say, this is what I really feel proud about?
That's a difficult question, because I think that each position has been a learning curve, and an opportunity to try new things and learn new things. So in each one of them, the challenge was different. For example, when I joined labor relations, I was the first female doing labor relations. Then when I had a remote location on a hot proving ground, also it was another challenge, because to manage remote site was it was with a small population, trying to attract the talent, developing programs on how to get them there. Also, being in Korea definitely was a life-changing experience from the cultural side, and understanding that you need to slowly understand, and having the right mentor was probably what worked for me. Get yourself immersed in a different culture, where being a female, I was young by that time. I traveled on my own. My husband stayed because it was just a short-term assignment, and technology was not the same, right? Today I can call my family, and I feel my dad, my in-laws, right, my brother, my niece, my nephew, as if I spent the evening with them, right? And we had a coffee. So that, for example, for me was proving myself that I wanted experience. I fight for that, and then it was there, right? So now make it work. And it was such a different world so far. So probably that also was something different. Then the experience on the aluminum foundry, that was also interesting. Managing a union, trying to do the best for the people, because you needed to manage. We didn't want it to be the old and the new foundry plant. We wanted to be like the legacy and the future, which is not the same, right? And we wanted to appreciate people that were there for probably 30 years, right? And we want them to still move forward. Then I moved to headquarters, and starting all these efforts more formally, speaking on diversity and inclusion, looking how numbers change, having more employee resource groups being open, and then the pandemic also, taking care of and making decisions, and trying to be caring, but the work needed to be done, right? So uncertain, and now being here, right? Also to try to make a difference. So it's really hard for me to just say one, because I'm passionate about what I do, as you can tell, right? I'm really energized, and I love what I do, and I love the company where I am. So for me, whenever even I just sit down with an employee, if I can make a difference, and it was not always like this, right? Because in the beginning of my career, even the examples I was giving, it was more the result, right? The execution, the scorecarding green, right? It was people oriented, but it was more on, this belief of leaders need to know it all. Unfortunately, we evolved, the culture evolved, the surroundings were different. I had amazing leaders that inspired me, and now I'm on a different side, right? I enjoy a lot doing strategies, especially when it comes to developing people and transforming things and trying to inspire others. For me, that just itself, it's something that makes me, enjoy what I do and be at my best. And probably this is more of a romantic idea, but to collect all those moments, we call them moments that matter, because they are linked to the behavior and to the expectations and to going up to the results, right? Because if you create moments that matter, you change beliefs, right? You can demystify, you can change beliefs. And if you change beliefs, you change behaviors. And we were just talking about the results and the engagement. So you can really make a difference. And as leader, I take it with a lot of responsibility. For me, it's not granted just to be a leader, it's just a title. If your team shines, their light reflects on you, and then you shine. It's not the other way around.
I love that. That leads me to ask you, what advice would you give to emerging leaders?
Okay. I think that emerging, just let me clarify, emerging leader, you mean a new leader or a potential? A new leader. Okay. Because I think we need to start getting prepared since we have the ambition to be a leader. That's why I ask. But many times we don't do it, right? We're just like, it will come and I will be ready, and it looks easy from here, right? From where I am. But once you embrace the leadership position, first of all, it needs to be something that you aspire to. Second, as I was saying, you should never give it for granted. You need to prepare yourself. You need to have a good role model, because also during your work life, also you witness some leaders that are not necessarily the most positive ones, right? And as HR, we help them. There are programs, etc. But it will be nice to have this holding hands in the beginning of your leadership journey. When it was my case, it was just my direct leader. Now we have in place many other things, and probably some things that helped me were, for example, I studied at IPADE, I studied leadership at Harvard Business Review. I also, because it's not that you learn leadership in theory, but having the theory and then moving to practice, it really helps. So be humble. This means it's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I need to improve. Ask for feedback and enjoy the journey. Enjoy doing these additional tasks, right? Or activities that you need to do with your team, so you can build this safe space and the achievements are really as a team.
Fabulous. Yeah, again, you've had an amazing career. What legacy, and you already spoke about legacy, and my question to you is, what legacy do you hope to leave?
I really would like to leave behind. I love being a mentor, and even being a mentee also. I'm a believer of the process. So talking about mentoring, it's not only my formal mentee-mentor relationships, it's also my team. So I would like to leave them ready for whatever the challenges are. Someone will come after me. I'm pretty sure that they will look at things in a different way, and they will probably not only continue, but probably make it better. And it's okay. It's part of the evolution. And that's why I always say why this decision was made before, because it's unfair just to say it was wrong, right? We don't just go and do wrong decisions so someone else fix them. So I would like to equip them, and so that they can continue the journey and they've really become curious. They have control on their careers, and I'm so happy to see whenever any of my team members or mentees tell me, Monica, I got this position, now I'm this project. Guess what? I'm taking an international assignment here and there. That really energizes me. It's not because of me, it's because of them. And sometimes it's just a matter of, making them feel confident and comfortable, the same as someone did with me, right? We were never ready at 100%. The thing is to go for it, to try, and try by trying to win, not trying and, if it doesn't work, right? Go and play to win. So I would like to leave that behind and be remembered as a leader that was always looking into ways to do things with honesty and full integrity. That is a non-negotiable for me. And also, again, I'm lucky to be in a company that it's aligned to processes, to whatever it's legal, whatever it's, in this compliance portion. But still, right, you can do things and not be transparent. So I think that will be, it's a little pretentious to say that, to leave a legacy, because more will come and we're always raising the bar, but I also would like them to think of me as an energized, positive leader that was doing her best.
Oh, how beautiful. I'm very sure you've already left a legacy in people that know you, in people that have grown because of you, people you've mentored, people you've inspired. So you're living a legacy every single day in what you do.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna have to ask you a last question, and this has to do more with something that you said around feedback. Do you believe leaders are willing to ask for feedback and receive honest feedback?
Not all of them. We know that. Let me rephrase it. Yes, because they are willing to receive feedback when it's positive. Because also we're willing to give feedback when it's positive. Where the challenge comes, it's where there's an opportunity to be addressed, right? Crucial conversation needs to happen. And sometimes because of maybe not investing time, maybe not willing to hear something that they don't want to, feedback is not requested as frequent as we would like to. So in order to make it more of a process, a good way to get feedback is through some tools that we have. So we receive people leader feedback, which is a 180 survey that goes out automatically and anonymous. So we will get the feedback. And it's the leader's responsibility to take it or not. But then you have the next survey, right? So, and you want to improve, and you would like to read good comments on empowerment, of providing tools, etc. So I think still as humans, feedback is amazing, but we need to work more on our emotional intelligence. Because if you read the same feedback with emotions and without emotions, right? The feedback can be perceived a little different. And probably in the first with lots of emotions, or if it was written with a lot of emotions, you will probably say, hey, this is not true, right? Or maybe they tried to say this and no, I guess who was the one in charge of this feedback, and you start making stories in your head. What is true is that I have a personal philosophy. You always have a choice. You can see a situation or a feedback as an opportunity or as a threat. And the choice is yours. But for that, you need to be emotional, intelligent, and sometimes you're like, okay, this is an opportunity. And I need to embrace it, and I need to do things different. Still, we need to work on emotional intelligence when it comes to providing and receiving feedback. I think it's not something that only is happening in my industry or GM. I think it's because as humans, we connect with people. So it's hard to say, I like you, but really the way you're doing the job is not the right one. So first, to keep it to the task and not the person, to use the right language, right? So the adjectives are more to the result rather than the way the person did it. It requires practice.
Oh, yes.
And you need to be ready to have these crucial conversations when it happens. And most of all, we track if you gave feedback and nothing has changed. And there is when HR goes, right? And we have our leaders dashboard, and we take a look on how they recognize in the system, their survey on work environment, etc. And it's not that we're rating our leaders. It's just that we want them to be better. And we want them to be better for themselves, for the team, right? And of course for the organization. So we track them so that what's going on? How can I help you? Sometimes some teams are really difficult to be managed, right? Sometimes the stress is there, right? The deadline is there. So there are many tools that we can provide them. So I think it's not that they are not willing to ask. It's just that, emotions get in between. But I think we're getting better on, we're getting more even customer surveys on how was your experience. So we should be, getting more used and more used to do this. And as leaders, we will need just to listen to our people and peers and leader on how are we doing. We have really great individual contributors that sometimes they become leaders and they are not that successful. It's on us to return them to the seat or the chair where they were successful. So leaders, everyone, especially if you are in the highly technical side of the business. Now, you have on STEAM great leaders that have those disciplines, but not everybody is designed for that. And also it needs to be their passion. They need to find their purpose.
Agreed, completely. We definitely believe that, feedback is the most important conversations that leaders should have with their people all the time. Delivering feedback and also getting feedback and listening. And you talked about customer, and I'm sorry, I know we are over time, but you spoke about how you're asking your customers to do. Do you believe a complaint is a gift?
Yes, and probably complaint is a strong word because we tend to link it to emotions, right? When you hear complaint, it's like, oh, right? You probably get goosebumps, like, what now? If we probably, right? But in the end, it's feedback. We can name it as we would like to. It's feedback. So definitely, not only to improve the results you're giving, to improve your service, to improve the employee experience, to improve their journey through the company, at least in the case of HR, definitely. And the worst thing that you can do is ask and do nothing. If you need to be open, right, to the good, to the bad, and to the ugly, and you need to be making this choice, right? Is it a threat or is it an opportunity? So if you start with a mindset and you put your team in the same line of thought that, okay, this is an opportunity for us. There's no bad feedback. This is an opportunity for us. The mindset on how we develop action plans should be easier should come more naturally. For example, in our survey on work environment that we call workplace of choice, the plans are not necessarily developed only by leaders or the upper, the first line of management. Mm-hmm. Every employee is responsible, and the feedback, they need to own it from the whole function as if it was theirs. And that also creates this feeling of collaboration, and providing solutions, plans, having committees here and there so that they can do things different. So I think that also the complaint or the feedback, if it's shared versus just keeping it in the upper management and saying, oh, should I share, should I not, right? Or trying just the upper management, which probably it's too far from what is happening in the real world sometimes. It becomes a process that is cascaded, that it's mapped, and then you have finance, for example, as a function working on their action plans, depending on the opportunities or the scores that were lower, or what is working, the feedback, the verbatims, etc. So definitely I think it's a gift. It needs to be constant, but also it needs to leave some room for implementing and then asking again, right? Because we have pulses. But the pulses that we have between, these big surveys are more focused on certain topics, 3-4 different questions, plus the engagement ones that really complement the results from the big survey, we call it, which is every 2 years. Because we need to allow the plans to mature, right? We cannot just measure and say, oh, it didn't work, so put it out and then let's see what happens in the next survey. And what we want is to create this sense. Even it happens the same when it comes to our call centers, for example, right? And we see that a customer has been calling 3-4 times and there's no answer. You will see that after sales, for example, if it's a part missing, after sales will go from number 2, right? Because then that's a complaint, because it's emotions, it's my car is in the dealership. You will see the whole thing, the logistic people, the after sales, the sales people, they go there. I mean, there's a sense of urgency, and I think it works because one, it's mapped, so the data is talking to us in both examples that I gave you, and second, because we shared the responsibility. Before it was just, oh, these are the numbers of the call center. Oh, you know what is your zone, or it's not my product, or it's not my line, so. No, and I think this shared customer focus and this shared, we call it one team behavior, it's there so that you can sort it out in the best way, right? And you can share the learning so that, I mean, if it was a quality issue, then you take action. If it was a logistic thing, they can go to the root cause and sort it out, etc. So definitely the feedback and complaints are something that you need to be open and take them as an opportunity.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you for this amazing journey. It has been filled with insights. It's going to be very difficult to know which one of them should go in the book, because you're, oh, this is genius, this is genius, this is genius. So thank you. And also what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. And I think a lot of HR leaders should learn from you and learn from what you are doing.